John Zimmerman with Upper Creek Angler, and we're continuing our work through Steve Skuce's book, Grayling Flies. This is fly number 8, the Klinkhammer Special. In the vise, I'm actually using an Orbis check nymph hook. It's a light wire hook designed to give an elongated, but not really elongated, curved body to a fly. So it's like split the difference between a scud hook and a Klinkhammer hook, and I really like it for the smaller Klinkhammers that I tie. So this is a number 12, and we're going to start with some tan thread in the vise, in the bobbin, and work our way back just to about 2 mils behind the hook eye. At this point, we're going to come in and tie in what our post material is going to be. And here's where people get, I think, all bent out of shape on post materials. You can use any number of post materials for a Klinkhammer. One of my personal favorite post materials to use is a tuft of 4 or 5 really nice CDC feathers. They make really great natural materials for tying clinks. So that's usually what I use personally, but we're going to go with some floating polypropylene yarn. So a couple wraps right there over top, and then a couple wraps just in front of the Klinkhammer material. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors and cut these materials off at an angle. Doing so will help us automatically make an even tapered fly for us, as you can see. I'm a really big fan of using the waste material in a fly's construction to finishing the fly off. So down here at the end, we're not going to use those, and we'll take this thread down just a bit further and come back up to the top and clean up any of these leftover waste materials up here to finish off our taper. We're not going to dub this very heavily at all. We really just want the dubbing on the thread, and that will suffice for us. I'm going to use some super fine dubbing in a color called Light Cahill, and again, we're not going to dub this heavily at all, just enough to pretend you were taking a marker and marking the thread with it. We'll do this in batches going up the hook. Another interesting idea that I have been playing with on clinks recently is to pull off a number of the fibers from a patch of CDC feathers, and dub those onto the thread and use those as the body dubbing for the Klinkhammer. They work really nicely. They give off lots of bubbles, so it's a nice fish attractant way to tie clinks. And that's about as far up as we need to go. I'll finish that off right there, and from here we're going to reach in and tie in our feather. I'm using a deep brown saddle hackle here. This is from a whiting saddle that has mostly 14s and 16s and 18s on it, but it does, on the sides, it gives us a few nicely done sizes and bigger. Now I'm going to do this a little bit opposite of what the book calls for. I'm going to start my post. I'm going to work on my post, and then after I work on my post, I'm going to tie in my peacock curl for the thorax here. The better your post is, the better your fly is going to be. The other reason that I tie my post, I work on my post first instead of second, is I'm going to varnish this post with some super glue or some Sally Hansen's hard as nails. Either one will suffice, and it will be assistive to have that material drying while I work on the thorax region. I've got a couple little feathers here that I'm going to clip out. So now I'm going to just dot this post with some super glue so that it hardens up a little bit and is a little bit steadier to work with. So that will not take long at all to dry, and it will give us the time that we need to tie in the materials for our thorax. And by the time we're done working on that, we'll be in good shape. We're going to take 3 or 4 depending on the size. This is a number 12, so I'm just going to do 3 peacock curls. And tie those in at the back. Bring them forward toward the hook eye. Peacock feathers, peacock curl is a very brittle material. So in order to protect these a little bit, we're going to run our thread back through them. You won't ever see it. Now, we are ready to begin making wraps downward with the hackle. I like to get as many wraps as I can in. And we will come in and right at the base, tie that off. Reach in very carefully and cut out your feather stem. And at this point, I like to come in and trim my post. And being very careful to work at just the base of this stem. We are going to tie our whip finish in here, being as careful as you can not to trap any of the hackle feathers. So this is fly number 7. I'm sorry, fly number 8, the Klinkhammer Special. It is a really tremendous fly for dry dropper fishing. There's so much here to keep the fly on top of the water, and so much to be able to see that it makes for a great dry fly to float even relatively heavy nymphs, and super visible. This fly mostly floats like this in the water as it goes down. If you really dress this with some lube and some dust, this will float for a while too, but the fly is really meant to float this portion up this portion under the water so that it imitates an emerging fly. So this is one of those patterns that should be mixed up to imitate and simulate any number of color spectrums and sizes of bugs in the water that you fish. So depending on what size and what color the mayflies, especially in your neck of the woods, are, you should tie them up to imitate those. It's a really effective pattern when fish are keyed in on emerging bugs, because what you can do is you've got the emerger here, and anytime there are fish eating on the surface that are eating the emergers, you can 100% guarantee that they're going to be fish that are eating the bugs on the way up to the surface as well. They're just stacked up in a different portion of the water column eating. So having a nymph trailing a foot or 18 inches or 2 feet under this, you'll be able to target some of those fish as well. So again, this is fly number 8, the Klinkhammer Special. Be sure to tie yourself up some of these.